Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good morning and welcome to a special edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Garrett Bergquist. The United States has attacked 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. B-2 stealth bombers hit facilities at Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz on Saturday. President Donald Trump claims those 3 sites were, in his words, completely and fully obliterated. Iran accuses him of launching a dangerous war and is now asking the UN Security Council for an emergency meeting. The operation was called Operation Midnight Hammer. Defense officials just briefed reporters within the past 2 hours. Here's some of what they had to say.
Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength, Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back.
This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordo. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Isfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
We have reaction this morning from Indiana's political leaders. Senator Todd Young says, "Thank you to our brave service members who executed this mission. The world will be safer if Iran's nuclear capability is destroyed. I look forward to briefings in the coming days." We also have reaction from former Vice President and Indiana Governor Mike Pence. He says President Trump made the right call to deploy American forces to strike nuclear sites in Iran, and he should be commended for his decisive leadership. Iran could never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. Thanks to the resolve of our commander-in-chief and the professionalism of our armed forces, America, Israel, and the free world are safer as a result. Congressman Andre Carson questioned the legality of Trump's decision. He says the president can only take war action without congressional approval if the U.S. is under direct attack from a foreign country to protect and rescue Americans abroad, safely remove troops, or for peacekeeping missions or humanitarian aid. President Trump's actions are unconstitutional, and it's putting our active duty and reserve troops in danger by getting us into another endless war. And Governor Mike Braun says, "I applaud the decisive leadership of Donald Trump as he ordered destruction of Iran's nuclear facilities. We are thankful our brave troops who executed this mission are back to safety. Now I will pray for the safety of our troops in the region and for peace to prevail." Senator Young serves on the Senate Intelligence Committee. As such, he receives classified briefings on U.S. military and intelligence activities. I talked to him prior to the airstrikes. Here's what he told me.
We know Israel is under attack by proxies of the state of Iran. We know that at every turn, the Israelis have been able to push back with some American assistance using our intelligence and our diplomatic enterprise where required. But we also know that the Iranian regime over the years has threatened American troops, even made strikes against American troops through their proxies. That blessedly has stopped. Our president is doing everything he can to reposition them, but at the same time, to let the state of Iran know that we can no longer tolerate their enrichment of uranium and their gallop towards development of a nuclear weapon. And I agree that the president has drawn this bright line against further enrichment.
Should Hoosiers avoid traveling to the region?
They should consult the State Department warnings on these things. The State Department, it posts online the country-by-country threat profile of different regions. It wouldn't surprise me if various countries within the Middle East have increased in terms of their threat profile. And I would just urge extreme caution. For those who are traveling to the state of Iran, I personally would not advise members of my family or my friends to do so. So I extend the same sort of caution to my constituents.
Should the ultimate goal of any military action be to stop the Iranian nuclear program or to achieve regime change?
It should be to stop the Iranian nuclear program. The president has been very precise and disciplined in terms of that sort of insistence. Any other punishment or threats are in furtherance of that larger aim of making sure that the leading state sponsor of international terrorism, that is the state of Iran, does not have access to a nuclear weapon and therefore blackmail potential against others. That would be short of actually the threat of using that weapon against our people and that of our allies, which we should also take very, very seriously.
If the U.S. gets involved, do we risk repeating some of the same mistakes that we made with the Iraq War?
You know, there's always a risk that we make unwise decisions. This is presumably why the American people elected President Trump, because they trust him to make the right decisions. I am putting my trust in his advisors, but I'm doing my work. I have oversight responsibilities as it relates to the executive branch. I'm asking very tough questions. We want to make sure that the intelligence that might inform any action is thoroughly vetted and that people in Congress are aware of exactly what fact pattern exists in the region before we take action. And we also need to be supportive of President Trump as he makes some really difficult decisions. If that support means additional resources, then we should give very strong consideration to that as well.
About 600 Indiana National Guard soldiers are currently deployed in the Middle East. They've been there since last September. A National Guard spokesperson tells me their mission and timeline have not changed. The Guard says they are still on track to return home later this summer. Coming up, more calls for the mayor of Indianapolis to resign and controversy over how a law firm investigated allegations of sexual misconduct within his administration. Welcome back. A fourth member of the Indianapolis City County Council is now calling on Mayor Joe Hogsett to resign. This after a council committee approved funding for the investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct within city government. Our Danielle Zolkowski was there as victims of misconduct got a chance to finish the statements that were cut off at a council meeting at the beginning of the month.
Members of the Indianapolis Administration and Finance Committee heard from people bringing forward allegations of harassment and assault from within the city-county government after last week's explosive full council meeting. This chance to speak came after a council meeting last week where Council President Vop Osili removed Lauren Roberts for attempting to speak longer than 2 minutes. She is the first person to bring forward accusations of sexual harassment against Thomas Cook, a former top Hogsett aide. A proxy spoke for her, a second Cook accuser, Caroline Ellert, and a new man who submitted a statement about civil rights violations he endured while working for the Department of Public Works.
The message I received from the council president was clear. Even in public forum, your voice can and will be silenced. He knew the cameras were rolling. He knew Indianapolis residents were watching. And still his actions made one thing plain. Our concerns aren't valued, not if they disrupt the status quo, not if they call out power.
Investigative Committee Chairwoman Crista Carlino gave a speech at the meeting where she implied that other people in positions of power tampered with the scope of the independent investigation.
January of this year, it became clear to me that the scope was limited to just Thomas Cook, and in a meeting with General Counsel, I asked that she print General Resolution 40.